Joining us now, NewsNation contributor and Republican strategist Denise Gitsham. Denise, good morning to you. Healthcare costs are the biggest sticking point right now that has us to this point. I want you and for folks at home to hear what Senator Schumer said on the Senate floor just a moment ago.
Imagine getting a notice that your insurance is going to go up $15,000 each year, as so many of my constituents and people across America are getting, and having to make the awful, awful decision whether to have health care or not, and then think, what if my kid gets sick and I won't have health care? But what do? I can't afford $5,000 or $10,000 more a year. That's the position Republicans are putting the American people in.
Democrats say that costs for health care are going to go up in December once these ACA tax credits expire. Does the GOP want them to expire in December? And what are they saying about the potential of higher health care costs?
Well, I think it's important that we emphasize the month December because the CR that's being voted on ends on November 21st, which only goes to prove that Democrats, for this, it's really just a lot of theatrics because the CR has nothing to do with those extending Obamacare subsidies that, again, end in December. This has more to do with Schumer's favorability that dropped. I think it was from plus 36 to negative 2 among Democrats, a huge swing, 38 percentage points in the negative when he voted to keep the government open in March. And so, of course, Republicans don't want to see people hurting. If people hurt, Republicans are going to suffer for it. So they understand politically, but also I'm a Republican. I care deeply about people being able to afford health care. But the way to do it is not by holding Americans, really, not just Republicans, but Americans hostage. I mean, think about all the things that are being shut down in the federal government and all the downside effects of it from small businesses that rely on government contracts. Everyone's suffering because Democrats are throwing a tantrum like a child and refusing to get their way in their timing instead of doing things according to our democratically established procedures that have been followed for, since the beginning of time.
We have seen more and more shutdowns in recent years, thinking back to the last 5, 8, even 10 years. Is this just an example of Washington's dysfunction that folks should get used to?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it is, but I also think it's a reflection of how, we get, as Americans, we get the kind of government that we want. So it really reflects more on who we are as Americans. I think I love to throw Congress under the bus and not take any responsibility for it. But I think as Americans, we have to look inside and say, we are electing the types of people, it's the Democratic base that wants them to oppose everything Republicans and Trump do. And it's the Republicans that have done the same when Obama was in charge. So this is not a one side or the other issue, but it is a constant ongoing issue. And unfortunately, it's always for political gain, and it always comes at the expense of Americans.
The vote underway now. This is the 10th vote. As I said a moment ago, it's unlikely to change things and reopen the government. The other issue that a lot of folks right now are talking about, Denise, is crime in big cities. Chicago and Portland. LA has been at the center of that. And now the administration is talking about San Francisco. You're out in California. San Francisco crime numbers, according to some recent data, show they're on a downward trend. How does the administration then justify sending in federal troops if that happens into a city when you see these numbers?
Sure. Well, just because there's a downward trend doesn't mean that it wasn't horrifically high to start. San Francisco is still 10% higher in violent crime than Chicago, if you can imagine it. And parts of Chicago are 4 times more dangerous than war zones. So, we had a progressive DA in San Francisco, which is just 40 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. And that DA was recalled in 2022 because the liberal residents of San Francisco felt that there needed to be more done on the issue of crime. This is terrifying. I actually did some research before I came on that I want to make sure that people understand that just because they've dropped doesn't change the fact that you have a 1 in 25 chance when you're in San Francisco of being a victim of property crime. And you have a 1 in 141 chance of being a victim of violent crime. Those are unacceptable, Marnie. It is unacceptable for anyone, whether you're a tourist or a resident of San Francisco, to be walking around thinking about those numbers and for the leadership to say, oh, hold on, we're doing enough. The reality is they're not. And I don't know anyone in my area, I live in the Bay Area, that wants to go to San Francisco for dinner or do anything like we used to do growing up. That's all we did. I can't go back anymore because I know my car will be broken into, if not worse. months.
Yeah, there's one thing to see the data and the statistics, but there's a feeling that you get in certain areas that people can't shake, and if you've experienced it, it's hard to then argue the other side of it. Denise, thank you as always. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, Marnie.